Blog Talk Radio.
Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Jerusalem from the Scarfella Music Group, and you on the air with the hottest station, Endie Fiya, with your host, Lil Timmy and Nakia, right here on the station bringing you all the hottest hip hop hits. Endie Fiya, let's get it.
It's Thursday. That means you tuned into another episode of Endie Fiya right here with Nakia. You know what, guys? I made a decision. And if you were listening on Monday for New Music Mondays, you probably heard me say this, that I don't do well with men. Like, apparently, hold on. Let me back up. I don't do well with men on this show, all right? And with that being said, I think I'm just going to leave things, like they are. If by chance we get the co-host, that's going to stick around and that's going to be about this mission the way I am, and they're not here for anything else other than this mission, then we'll have a co-host. And if not, then I'm good. You guys know I carry my weight. So in the meantime, we got to work on, we have like 7, I say we, because, there's people that work behind me, but we got like 7 artists out right now that are working on intro music for all 4 shows. And I think they fell asleep. Like, I think I need to personally visit everyone and wake them up because I need intro music. Even my drop isn't proper now. So, guys, don't make me come looking for you, okay? You don't want to see me face to face. I get real nasty, all right? So let's work done, and so we can have some intro music, all right, and some new drops for the show. I want to talk about something I read a few minutes ago, and it's rather funny. It's nothing really serious tonight, but I did want to bring it up because it started to fuel some tensions, I guess, between, certain readers or people that were responding or people who may come back and respond. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure where the article came from. I want to say maybe Daily Mail, Daily News. And there's a couple in Utah that are fighting right now for their rights to be married. And I know you're probably thinking, like, okay, well, what's wrong with that? Well, it just so happens that they're first cousins, all right? And when they were little kids, the little boy told the mother of the little girl, like, I'm gonna marry her, she could be my girlfriend, I'm going to marry her, and when we get bigger. And so the mother was like, no, you two can remain friends, but you can't, she can't be your girlfriend, you can't be the boyfriend, and you definitely can't get married, all right? So as they would see each other at different, family events or whatever, and the attraction just continued to build, but then they would go their separate ways after, maybe family reunion or somebody's birthday or whatever. They would go their separate ways, all right? So they get older as adults, and they happen to, like, run up on each other again. I don't know what kind of first cousins they are because I always see my first cousins, but they seem like really distant first cousins, right? So they run up on each other again, and they decide to go into another state. Hell, I don't remember if it was Colorado or California. They went to another state, and they got legally married, all right? As first cousins because it is legal in 25 states, possibly a 26th one. All right, so they got married, but as soon as they try to cross the border and come back into Utah, they're no longer married. So they're fighting this. My question is, why are we talking about this? Like, this seems like something that should be just between whatever's going on in your family. I mean, it may pave the way for other people and open the doors for, other people or whatever. I got a cousin that I am crazy about. Not on the level to go get married, you know what I'm saying? But dude holds me down, and I just don't understand why we're talking about this. Like, why is this important when there are so many other topics of discussions that we could be discussing right now? I'm not talking about R. Kelly. I'm not talking about Jussie Smollett. I'm not talking about Michael Dole. How many of you read about the little girl? I'm going to just say hashtag future princess hero that was found in a duffel bag. Somebody killed this baby girl, put her in a duffel bag, and just abandoned her on the side of the road. Why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we trying to locate her killer or killers? You know what I'm saying? People want to say that the cousin's getting married, that's sick and twisted or whatever. I say love who you want to love. Who am I to judge and who am I to condemn? That's not for me. But let's talk about the sick and twisted minds of people who are, it's one thing to commit murder, homicide, slaughter, however the crime is termed, against anyone, against an adult, against the elderly, but when you think about children, precious children who can't fight back, who it's just, that's the sick and twisted people that we need to worry about right now, that we need to be worrying about right now. Not these cousins, over there in Utah doing they half-ass backwards shit. Let them do what they do, and let's focus on this. This is a larger picture right here, and it's not something that just happened overnight. It's been going on, and it's being pushed up under so many, different rugs but right up to people's doorsteps as well, because you find that, people's fathers and their mothers and their grandmothers and their aunties and uncles are the ones who are committing these heinous acts, against these children. Not to say this is what happened to this little girl, but I'm just saying this stuff is right there in the home, and it goes on unseen, supposedly. People notice. Kids go to school with bruises. People notice. I wrote a paper last semester, and I'm gonna get to our guest because I'm excited tonight. We don't have an artist tonight, so I'm really excited. All right, but I wrote a paper last semester. I don't even remember what we had to do, like what it was, what the subject was, or whatever. But you had to be able to prove without a shadow of a doubt that this right here caused this right here, so this right here should happen, like a cause and effect type of paper, all right? And so I can't remember the case. I want to say it was in Chicago. A little girl was killed, and her mother did it, and the boyfriend, of course, had something to do with it too. But the daycare even was at fault because they saw this happening, the little girl coming in and saying, she would say her mother did it, or her, whatever the man's name was, he did it. And social workers would miss appointments, and my thing was, should the workers, like social workers, be held accountable? If a child under their watch, if the child dies because they're not doing their job, because they're being negligent, should they be held accountable? And I had to prove this, and it was like the toughest paper I wrote have written because I was so, that case really disturbed me emotionally. And so it was hard for me to be able to put my words onto a paper where I wasn't cursing, you know what I mean? So that it was eloquently written in proper vernacular, But then me and my professor went back and forth, because she felt like, I was wrong and maybe the social worker shouldn't. So I had to fight to prove, and do a lot of research on that paper. Needless to say, I got an A on it. Thank you. But I just feel like we shouldn't be worried about the cousins in Utah. We should be focused on right here in our own, and it may be maybe not your back door, because it may be in Utah as well. You know what I'm saying? It may be in California, wherever it's occurring, your back door. You see it happening. It just needs to be more. It's a cause that I feel needs to be vocalized more. And speaking of which, and I'm fast forwarding just a little bit, but our guest tonight has a series of books, and they do, and I actually started reading this one about 20 minutes ago, but they deal with domestic violence, and you all know that's one of my platforms, and so I'm dying to pick his brain, where did it come from? I understand that that's something that we all need, as I just said, that's something that we all need to be mindful of, because it's nothing for somebody to say I'm fine on the outside, and you may visibly see their scars, but as long as they're telling you they're fine, back up, they're fine, So I do want to just jump right in and talk to him. But, you know, we got to follow protocol. Let me tell you who we interviewing tonight. All right, guys? If you're just tuning in, you're live right here on Endie Fiya with Nakia. I've been on my little stool. I'm stepping down now. The floor is no longer mine. I'm opening the floor up for our guest tonight. This is novelist and published author L Beaty. He was born, and it's probably Beaty. It could be Beaty, but he's going to tell me. He was born Fredrick Lamar Beaty. He found the love of writing early in childhood, writing short stories and poetry, and even creating a comic book with his twin brother Cedric, where he served as a colorist and contributed to the writing of the character dialogue. He traveled between Georgia and California, settling in California for a while to focus on music writing and creation. You don't see how this all comes together? You know, people tell me, like, I'm an artist. Like, I can't write, but you write music. So it all comes together, you know? All right, so the call of home became too great. So he moved back to Georgia to focus again on music. But the call of writing was something he could not resist. He started back writing short stories and poems, submitting some of his work in local and national contests and gaining some national recognition. Deciding to shift his focus to novel-length work, he began research on his first book. He shifted his focus from research to writing when he started A Broken Circle, his first published work from Diamond Kut Publications in 2017. Since then, he has hosted the Author's Alley, a radio show powered by Diversity of the Mind's Blazing Heat Radio, and he is a 3-year Navy veteran. Salute to you. Currently residing in Tampa, Florida, with his lovely wife, Erica, and their 3 children. Endie Fiya listening audience, I present to you our guest for this evening, novelist and published author, L Beaty. Well, you know, every now and again we have technical difficulties, right? We got them going on right now. So hold on just a moment. Ta-da! Are you there?
I am. Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. I just knew something was going to happen tonight. I just know when I'm by myself, something always happens. But we're back in. We're back in. If you're just tuning in now, you're live here on Endie Fiya with special guest, FL. Is it Beaty or Beaty?
It's Beaty.
I was right, guys. I was right. I want to jump right into this because I want to get to the book.
Okay.
The newest.
Not a problem.
But before then, you know, I gotta lay the groundwork for everybody. You started writing early in your childhood. Started with the short stories and the poetry and even the comic books. When did you first realize, though, that you were a writer? I mean, some people dibble and dabble, but they don't officially put a title to their name until something big hits or, you know, something significant occurs in their life. When did you first realize that, bam, this is me, I'm a writer?
Well, you know, like you touched on it a little bit. I've been really writing since a wee little kid. So my history with actually dabbling in writing really starts from 8 years old. So I dabbled in writing. You know, I was an avid reader. So, you know, and when it all gelled for me is when I actually wrote some short stories. They gained a little bit of recognition, and a lot of people that were like very close to me, like family, some friends, they said, "No, we like this. This is nice, man." So that's really put me in the vein of like, yeah, I can actually do this. I can actually do this. So that's where it kind of put me in that vein. So like, yeah, I can do this. I feel like I can master this, and this is where I need to be at.
You just mentioned, you know, bringing in family and friends, and I know that you said that you had the comic book with your twin brother. Does your family support your career as a writer?
They do. They're highly supportive of what I do. They're highly supportive of what I do. Anytime I I put something out, such as my first book. The my first book, and then all other subsequent works. They've been very supportive of what I've been doing. Um, my mother and my father are, my mother and father are the constant parts of support for me. My wife and my wife and my family and the family that I've grown with have been immensely supportive of what I've been doing. My wife is the main one. She pushes me to be better than what I was before. Okay. She always says, "Well,
Of course.
your first book,
Yes,
your first book's out. Your first book's out. Come on, let's get the second one out. The second book's out. Let's go and let's do the
right.
third one. Come on, let's get it."
Right. Well, shout
So
out to the missus. Yes, most
indeed,
definitely. You have to
indeed,
have those motivating forces behind you.
indeed,
So
indeed,
that's
and
good.
it really,
That's good.
indeed.
Now, your first book was published in 2017. I almost said last year. Your first book was published in 2017.
Hmm.
How did publishing your first book change your writing process, or did it at all?
Hmm. It didn't. My writing process has been the same probably since I was 30 years old. So my writing process, I'm 46 now, so my writing processes haven't changed that much in 16 years. Um, when it comes to certain types of things, certain types of writing that I do, my process is the same. I always start with an outline. I
Mhm.
always try I always do my best to try to develop my characters within this outline. Give them well, my outline is just baseline. The baseline character,
Mhm.
some small characteristics of who they are. Within this outline, I also develop the story, the setting. Um, Normally, my pacing comes when I actually write. So from my outline, I actually create my story or create my world. My pacing comes from how I write my story. Um, there are times in my process to where I have to either slow down or um, speed up, or in some cases just stop altogether because
Mhm.
certain parts of my story don't necessarily match up to what I'm thinking in my mind, or or how I'm playing it out, or how I'm playing it out in my mind, or how I would imagine it to be while I'm writing it. Because when I write, and I write in sections. It's it's weird. It's a weird little quirk that I picked up from writing for so long. I write in sections. I start with my beginning. I read it, and as I'm reading it, I imagine it. I imagine how it goes down in my head, in my imagination, and then once I have that picture vividly ingrained, then I go to my middle part. I start from the beginning again, read the middle part, ingrain all that in my head, and then I go to my ending. And that my this it's a weird process, but it keeps me on level, and it keeps me on time.
I wouldn't necessarily call it weird, but it just confused the hell out of me. I know that. And I know that I know everyone has their own writing style. Me personally, because I'm so anxious to get to the end and I want everybody to know what happened, I write the ending first. I already know, so I write the ending first. That's gonna be the best thing. But then I'm stuck. And I know the beginning a little bit, you know what I mean? But it's the middle. It's the middle part where I feel like that will probably be the juiciest. But because I have so many stories inside of me that need to come out, and they're out in different places. They're recorded, they're written down, they're typed. But I think you touched upon something that I feel like is very important. The same when you write a research paper or an essay, you need to have an outline. I think that is very important. And for me, my
Hmm.
outline just kind of goes like, I know what the hell I want to say, and this is how it's going to go, and that's my outline. That's probably why I can't finish anything, That's probably the reason why I can't finish anything right there. Now, you mentioned your characters, and I mentioned that I just started reading your latest book, and I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But in mentioning characters, and I'm not really talking about the characters in Broken Chains. I'm just talking about characters in general. How do you select the names of the characters? Are they people that you know? Are these, and I know your works are fiction, but are you touching upon lives of some people? Have you ran across somebody and their name was something and it was catchy to you, or how do you come up with the character names?
You know what? That my choice of characters is initially it was a random process. You would normally pick a name that sounded catchy to me and fit the character. Now, especially with the book that's out now, is with this book I had to really just kind of just sit down and really think about the characters that I wanted to portray or have portrayed in this book. Just to kind of give a little primer about who the characters are. A lot of people would assume that my characters are of African American. They will be right, except in one instance. One of my characters is not. No, Karina.
Really?
Yes. And she is of.
Five, but okay, all right, go ahead.
When you read her story, you'll kind of get a feel of kind of where her descent lies in. But and this is not for being any spoilers or anything like that. But Karina is of Arab descent. Her father is from Saudi Arabia. Her mother is black.
How she ends up liking racing so much? I'm okay.
No,
okay.
we'll see. No. LJ is a black kid. He like his love of racing came from watching it with his father.
And I was a tad bit confused. And at first, I thought, like racing, like running track type racing. But then certain words were said, and I was like, no, this doesn't apply to track. Then I read a little further. We're talking about the pit. We're talking about the pit and everything. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is like NASCAR and shit. Okay, I got you. All right.
Oh yeah. Levitica was loosely based up on a cousin of a friend or a relative of mine. She went through an abusive that is what I'm telling is loosely her story. And
all right,
her story is
because people might now be wondering, like, what are they talking about? All right, so FL's latest book has a publication date of October the 16th, 2018. It's entitled Broken Chains. It is never easy to break the chains of abuse. Even when the chains break, the residue of those chains persists. Levitica, LJ, Jared, and Karina have made the choice to leave their abusive situation, but as each of them find out, there is a cost to be exacted from that action. Will it destroy them, or will they become empowered? The first book in the Healed series tackles the very hard-hitting but seldom spoken topic of abuse. This emotionally charged story will tug at your heartstrings and compel you to take action. So we're talking about Broken Chains right now. So you say Levitica is the main character?
All four of the characters are main characters. Each story is kind of sort of a main story into the larger picture.
Got you.
So kind of. Nah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Without spoiling it for me and those who are going to go get this book, and guys, you missed out because the book was actually free until last night. And I knew that, but I got mine today. Because we definitely do. We support. All right, we support. So,
Thank you.
and it's on Amazon. Of course, it's on Amazon. It's called Broken Chains. If you put in FL Beaty, Google FL Beaty, it'll pop right up for you. But kind of walk us through this story. And I want to know why this topic.
So to answer, I'll answer your second question first.
Please do.
Why this topic? Well, before we even get into that, first of all, I'm going to put this particular thing out there right now. A Broken Circle was the first book that I published. Broken Chains is the republishing of that book. It's just I added more dialogue, added more story elements to it. So it's the same book as A Broken Circle. It's just the republishing of that book. And now to answer your second question first, why this topic? Well, I'll ask the question. How many times have you even heard about these type of situations in the news or in any type of police reports?
You want me to answer from a professional point of view or just the average person talking to you?
Both.
I'm a domestic violence advocate, so I know that the numbers are very low. Fear of reporting. There are. You may be scared of the outcome of the situation. You don't want the other person to really get in trouble. You don't want retaliation. You're worrying about your being taken away. You're worrying about being outsourced, not being able to live the way you used to live. So there are a lot of reasons that both men and women do not report, and that you do not hear about these stories.
Right. So, and again, the other part of that is this. You don't hear about these stories because number one, they're rarely told. Number two, if they are told, they're not believable or they're far less believable based upon that individual's history. Secondly, another element to this is that this is something that is rarely talked about in our own community. And what I mean by our own community, I mean our brothers and sisters. We don't talk about this because guess what? Some people think this just is an everyday staple of living. It is not. It is not. I can tell you from a first-hand experience, it is not. And the other thing of it is that now because you're a domestic violence advocate, so you also know the mental health aspect to it.
Yes.
A lot of people won't talk about their situations or their stories because they feel they'll be shamed, they'll be ridiculed, they'll be talked about, and that carries a lot of emotional weight. From depression, alcoholism, abuse of drugs, even in some cases suicide. Though those numbers are. Those numbers from what I researched, very rare, fairly low. But now you have the mental aspect, you have the mental health aspect to it, you have the physical aspect to it. Now you also have the psychological aspect to it. You mentioned it earlier. They're afraid. They're afraid to lose their staple of living. They're afraid to lose their position and where they are in the life that they live, the life that they lead. They're afraid to just. A lot of people, when it comes to these situations, they're just afraid to step out on faith or on faith. On faith and just go out and just do what they need to do to better themselves. Because at the end of the day, it's about bettering yourself and making yourself a better person. But that's just how I look at things.
You mentioned that. I don't even know what you mentioned there because my mind started going back to when I was younger, and I never went through any of this. People always ask me, like, they assume that you have to have gone through something to be able to work with so many people in so many different walks of life. I work with the homeless. I work with suicide prevention. I work with human trafficking. I work with so many organizations, but I've never gone through any of it. Right? I just have a passion, and I have a ministry to serve. Right? So when I was younger, and everybody's not equipped for that. Everybody can't do that. It takes a very strong person to be able to sit in. I'm on call maybe twice a week for the emergency room, to be able to sit with survivors of a rape or a molestation or domestic violence. It takes a very strong person, to be able to do all of that and then walk out the room and just get back into your normal life. But when I was younger, I used to, this may sound crazy, but I had a kind of twisted mind when I was younger. I was, the circle that I ran with, there were a lot of girls who were only with, guys because maybe they were on the football team or, they were athletes or whatever reason, but they could provide them with a beeper because, you about my age. So, we had beepers back then. So they could provide them with a beeper and, they could get them the nice FUBUs and, baby fat or whatever. But at the same token, to what expense? They would come to school with long sleeve skirts when you got on turtlenecks because you done been choked out the night before, or just all types of situations. And I used to be like, I wish I would. I wish God would put me in a position so somebody will put their hands on me, so I can make an example. You know what I'm saying? I can make an example, and I can show these other females, what it is you need to do, because I just felt like I had to be the superhero. Even, 16, 17, 18, I felt like then I had to be the superhero for my friends because, and I'm really short. Like, I'm 5'2", and all my friends was like 5'9", 5'10", but here I am stepping to their boyfriends like, this is wrong. You know what I mean? And I always think, oh, God, could you please send that ignorant nigga my way so he can put his hands on me? I don't think that way. I don't think that way now because I have sons. And they're like 6'2" and 6'3".
Right.
They can handle all of that for me now. But at a young age, I had that mentality that I needed to be the one to step up and just be that voice for other people. So when I read that, that this is a series, not just a book, but you're taking this in the
Oh, yeah.
What do you hope to gain? What do you hope to gain from this?
Well, number one, there is when and I'm just gonna go. I'm just really gonna put this out there. This book was not what I had planned on writing. That's just what I'm saying. That's just saying. This book wasn't what I had planned on writing. The thing of it is the inspiration to write this literally came from Yahweh. Look. He said, look, because I was actually going to do something along the military fiction end, which I still dabble in every once in a while. However, when it came to this right here, Yahweh said, look, no, don't write this, write this. And me and Yahweh are having a conversation. We having a conversation like I'm having a conversation with God like, hey, I don't know anything about this. You want me to write this, but I don't know anything about this. He said, don't worry about it. I got you. I'm gonna give you the words to write. You write it how I tell you to write it. So that's where it came from. Now what are my plans for this series? Long-term plans for this series is to, I really want to be able to reach out to people who are going through the situations and the things that we all go through in this journey called life. We all go through them. Domestic violence and abuse is just one of the situations that I tackle with this book here. Without spoiling anything with the second book. The second book is I'm using the same characters, but I'm tackling different things, such as suicide, depression, how we as people deal with loss, how we deal with loss as people, the my third book, and again, this is not spoiling anything. The third one now I dive into the realm of the battered man. How does this man deal with all these emotions and what
Yes.
went through how we did what he dealt with,
Yes.
and also
Yes.
and then I also tackle another touchy subject, which is something that I think really needs to be said is now I tackle you know police violence by police police violence. I speak now the way that I speak to it from the police officer side, but I also speak to it from the parent who lost a child side. So
Okay.
like I so these are the things these are the things that I these are the subjects that I think about that I that I pray about, that I observe from watching the news, from watching I try not to wrap myself up in too much of stations like Fox News or CNN or things of
Right.
that
Right.
nature, because those things just feed you information. So most of the information
Right.
that I research is usually on lesser known news outlets like NPR, um,
Okay.
HuffPost, those
Okay.
guys. I try not to feed into the mainstream guys. I mean, every once in a while I read the New York Times, um, just because I'm a part. I like I invest as well. Um, I do a little bit of investing, so I follow certain stocks. So yeah,
Mhm.
that part. Um, but that's my short term goal. Long term, you know, if I can read, if my stories can one person, just one person, and it's and it for and it and it causes them to look at their life in a different way, and it causes them to change to really manifest a life change. You know, the one thing that my pastor always tells us is no mind change, no life change. If you want to manifest a life
Mm.
change, you got to manifest a mind change. If I could get one person to do that, my mission, my mission as a writer, as an author, as an advocate, as someone who does social commentary as far as social justice and things like that. That my mission is accomplished.
Awesome. Awesome. There's always ways that we can better our craft.
Oh
What
yeah.
one thing would you give up to become a better writer?
The most obvious one for me would be video games. I am, I'm a, I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer since Lord the since the NES days. Oh yeah, Atari
Atari?
2600 days too. Oh yeah, I've been a gamer since the old Atari 2600 days. If you want to take it back even further, the old Commodore 64 days.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I literally dated myself, y'all. I literally
Yes,
dated
I was
myself.
about to say. You told your age. Yes,
So,
you did.
oh yeah, I mean, I've been gaming since then. I mean, that is one of the things I like to do in my spare time when I'm not writing, or when I'm not spending time with my family. I don't game a lot. When I do, it's just for brief moments, or maybe 2 or 1 hour session. That's it. All the rest of my time is either spent researching or writing, or spending time with my wife and my family.
How many hours a day do you write?
Largely depends. Um, on a weekday, I'm usually working 8 hours of the day. So I try so fine. So if I do when I do get off work, if I'm not inundated with the responsibilities of a parent, the responsibilities of a
Right.
husband, I try to dedicate at least an hour and a half to 2 hours to writing. On the weekends, I'm a little bit more. I'm a little bit more freer. So I'm able to give myself those that two maybe that solid 2, 3, maybe 4 hours of writing. Um, I do take breaks in between, because sometimes staring at a laptop is hard, and these
Yeah.
old eyes ain't accustomed to these old eyes don't work like they used to. So so I do step away from the laptop every once in a while to kind of give myself a breather, stretch, um, take a walk outside. You know, it allows me to clear my mind of I won't say the clutter, but it allows me to clear my mind of what I'm currently doing, so that way when I come back to it, I'm refreshed and and I can jump back into it with new fervor.
Okay. Now, I know that you mentioned, and I think I hear a lot of people say this in different walks of life, that this is not the direction that I was going to go with this, and something led me to go into another direction. A lot of people don't
Mhm.
realize what the something, a lot of people haven't tapped into what that something is, but they know that, there was a different purpose when they started, but, they were shifted in another direction. Do you view writing as kind of a spiritual practice?
You know what? I view writing I actually view writing in two things actually. To be honest with you, I actually view writing as it is to me. It is a spiritual practice because it allows number one before and this is and I won't say this is a weird thing with me, but before I even sit down in front of my laptop, I always pray and ask God to give me the words to speak, and
Yeah.
allow me to say those words in a cohesive manner to where whomever's lives need to be touched by it, they're touched by it. So I always pray that prayer. So it is spiritual to me because I'm putting an extension of myself out in the universe,
Mhm.
and while putting myself out there in the universe, um, I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable, to be touched,
Mhm.
to be affected. So it is a spiritual thing for me. It is also cathartic for me as well because in 46 years of living, just like anybody else, you go through things.
Right.
You have ups, you have ups, you have downs, you have happy days, you have sad days, you you gain people, you lose people. Um, things like that affect things like that affect you in ways a lot of people don't realize. So writing for me is cathartic because it does allow me to heal not only emotionally, but it also gives me a chance to heal mentally. Because we all carry some sort we all carry weight. It just determines it just how much of the weight you carry. Um,
Mhm.
for me to write is always about healing. That's why this name of this series is called Healed, because
Mm.
all these issues that we go through, we
Yeah.
have to have some form of healing from it. You know what I'm saying? Um, a little something about me that a lot of people would not know about if had they not talked to me. Um, the other reason why I write is because um, it's this is slightly emotional for me to talk about. However, I will talk about it. Um, almost 4 years ago, I lost my oldest child to police violence. A police officer shot and killed my child, my oldest son. So from that point, and this is where I kind of this is from that particular point forward to now. And there were times in between where in the development of a broken circle, and even into the development of broken chains, there was a long break into that because at that particular point I questioned myself. I questioned like, is this my purpose? God, is this where you want me to be? Is this the vein you want me to be in? You know, and it was a for me it was an emotional reckoning of sorts. Um, even to talk about it 4 years now, 4 years later, it still gets me misty out of things of that nature. Even so certain days still bring a lot of pain.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I do write and that I continue to write is to, you know, kind of bring forth that pain and give myself the healing that I need. You know, it's one thing to put yourself out there in that realm to heal others, but
Mhm.
while you're the one healing others, who's healing you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that.
Would
I
you
always
say?
want to go ahead.
I
I'm sorry.
don't want to touch upon that too much, but would you
No,
say
no, no.
that life-changing experience is when you truly learn that language and words have power?
Yes. Even before even before that experience, even before that experience, you understand that your language and your words have power. That's and not to be political. That's the one thing that I think a lot of our politicians are learning right now.
Yeah. Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
our words have power. Our words have impact. Our words bear weight. And the words that you say, the words you speak to people, will either uplift them or condemn them or bring them
Put
down.
down. Yeah.
You
Mhm.
you had you so when people say, "Well, it's just a phrase. It don't mean nothing." No, no. You have to reevaluate and change your whole mode of thinking when you speak to people. Your words have impact. They have weight. They have meaning. And the minute you put your words out there into the universe, you can't pull them back
Don't take them back.
because they've already been projected. They've already been projected, and now those words bring about a perception,
Mhm.
and then they bring about inferences about certain things and they also bring about truths to who you are as a person because now because of your words, people really see your thought process. They see
Right.
your motivation. They see your motivation. They see who you really are. Why do you draw inferences that? Why do you draw conclusions from that when you shouldn't have? When you shouldn't draw that conclusion. Your words say a lot about you way before you step in the room.
Hmm. Most definitely.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
What
It's
you mentioned your short-term goals and you mentioned your long-term goals. What does and I know a lot of writers or authors are elated when they have published a book or they published 10 books or they finally got on the bestsellers list. For you, what does literary success look like?
literary success for me. It's not about bestsellers list. It's not about how many books I've sold, none of that. Literary success for me means if I can impact a life, if I can change someone's life, that is my success story. My success story is when someone can come to me and say, "I read your book, it impacted my life, and I changed my life for the better just because of that." A lot of people think that is based upon how many books someone sells, what your ranking is on Amazon, how much clout
Right.
you have. I don't care about any of that type of stuff. I'm not motivated by any of that. My book can be like ranked 10,000 right now, and I wouldn't and it doesn't matter to me because what matters to me is the lives that I touch and the lives that I impact.
And I believe that people have to have that within them when they first start writing. They have to know that when I'm done, when I close the cover and I submit this, that this was the purpose behind this book. And when I
Mhm.
fulfilled that purpose, then yes, I'm walking in my destiny. I am, I am successful. When I have completed my purpose. I believe that
Of
wholeheartedly,
course.
not only as an author, but I tell the artists that are on the show the same thing. You've been working on this project 3 years. You finally finished the last track. There's this amount of elation that comes over you. If nobody ever buys your album. But if you were able to instill during this whole process, if you were able to instill something in someone else and it caused a change in their lives, then that right there, that was what all of that hard work was for. Everything doesn't happen to everybody instantaneously. You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes you putting in the work, and sometimes that process is a lot longer for other people. But again, you have to start with you have to be mission-minded. You have to know what your purpose is, and then go forward with that right there. And I think at the end of it, that's when you find your success. Me personally.
Oh yeah. I mean, we trust me. Me and you are in complete alignment when it comes to that, because when, like I said, when I first wrote this, when I finally finished it, the original one was a broken circle. When I finally finished it, it was more than just a feeling of elation. It was like, the first part of my mission is complete. The second part of my mission begins. But there was such a feeling of elation when it was completed, because I knew in my heart, I knew in my soul, I knew in my spirit that somebody would be touched by what I wrote, what I wrote, and as I stated before, I'm not motivated by sales. I'm not motivated by Amazon ranks or anything like that. I'm not motivated by how many 5-star reviews I have. I'm not motivated by any of that. My motivation is life shift, changing people's lives. If one person will come up to me and say, hey, your book was very good, I read it, or even if one person comes up to me and says, like I said, I read your book, I saw the error in my ways, I changed my ways. I'm moving toward a better future and more of what God has planned out for me. That's my motive. That's always my motivation when I sit in front of when I sit in front of my laptop, or when I grab a notebook and write an outline. That's always my motivation. It's my motivation, and I pray that all the time when I do this, when I write, because it's very important.
What piece of advice can you give an aspiring writer, someone who's listening right now, and they're kind of like me, where they got all these books inside of them, but they don't have a clue where to start? What piece of advice could you give to that person?
Well, the first piece of advice I would give to anybody that's writing, or anybody that aspires to write, is number one, if you have stories trapped, I won't say trapped in you. If you have stories that are just waiting to come out, the first thing I will always tell the individual that's writing is, number one, find your voice. Your voice, and this is, it's a unique. I won't say a unique process, but your voice is the most unique thing when it comes to writing, because your voice is your trademark. It's your stamp. It's your signature. Everybody's voice when they write is different. So first thing, find your voice. Once you find your voice, focus on things that cater to your voice. If you want to write a book about human trafficking, or if that's your voice, if your voice is towards police violence, or if your voice is more in a political or geopolitical type commentary, write about those, research those things that fit your voice. Thirdly, do not be afraid to go outside the box. Writing is not traditional, as there are many styles to it. Don't be afraid to alter your style, or take in parts of other people's styles and integrate it into your own. Lastly, just you know, well, I won't say lastly. Fourthly is basically just keep it simple. Um, you don't have to make it overly complicated because it's not an overly complicated process. If you have a certain process to where you do like if you have a certain process like you, Ms. Naki, if you have a certain process to where you do research papers, your process to a research papers can be is the same as writing a book. It's the same process. It follows the same format, but it's a lot. But when writing a book, it's a lot more looser than writing a research paper because with a research paper, you're confined to that subject. With a book, you're much more freer because now you're able to experiment and try new ideas. That's my last. That's the last one. Try new ideas. Um, Try new ideas and be versatile. Um, like I said, writing about social ills and social injustice and things that affect us as people. That's one thing. That's only one. That's only one of the things I like to write about. I like to write. I also write military fiction. So don't be afraid to step out and try new ideas or try new genres. You might be surprised that you might be surprised that you're just as good as writing that as you are with your base.
Okay, there you have it. This is one of those shows that should have been a little bit longer because I still want to pick your brain with some more questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time. So I do want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and get all of your contact information out for anyone who wants to purchase the book, purchase future books. They want to, I don't know, they want to work on a collaboration with you for whatever reason. They want to reach out to you and contact you. If they've read your book and they've been moved and they want to just let you know, go ahead. The floor is yours to give your contact information now.
All right. So you guys can reach me by email at authorflb at gmail.com. My books are in paperback format and also ebook format. They are available on Amazon.com. They are available for sale on Amazon.com. If you want to leave a review, you can leave a review on Amazon.com. My book is also available on Goodreads.com. You can leave a review there. If if you want to reach out to me on social media, you can reach out to me on social media on Facebook, Fredrick Beaty. You can also reach out to me on Twitter. What is my at author FL Beaty. You can also reach out to me on Instagram at Gan72. I am also building a website, but that's currently under construction. So once that becomes available, I'll let everyone know about that.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. And the Instagram, let me spell that out for you guys. It's GANZ72 on Instagram. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thank you so much for being here with me this evening. You could have been anywhere this past hour, but you chose to take the time to be here with me. That means you love
Yes,
me.
ma'am.
Give your lovely wife my love and tell her to
Yes,
keep
ma'am.
being that motivating force behind you. I think, guys, we are not going to have he said, she said this Saturday because I still don't have a he. But you can join me right back here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays for New Music Mondays, on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Two Lit Tuesdays, and on Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Endie Fiya. I want to leave you with a quote. I don't think people realize how much strength it takes to pull your own self out of a poisonous situation when someone you love deeply, or with someone you love deeply. So if you've done that today, or any day, I'm proud of you. Until Monday, have a good night.
Whew, wow.